Hello, it's Tom Kissack, author of Jonathan's Tales. Today I'm going to do something different. Different, you might ask? Yes, I wish my readers to have a deeper insight into my work, and in that comment, specifically Jonathan's Tales Volume 2. So I'm creating a video in two parts to explain everything. This is part 1. So the first way to gather a deeper insight into Jonathan's Tales is for you to be familiar with the author foreword, which gives due explanation of the genesis of Jonathan's Tales, its rationale, and the continuing development now across 3 volumes. The third will be published soon, with the fourth already written and nearly oven ready for publication, and the fifth awaiting a deep edit, also written. Excuse me. So the author forward, which I have taken the liberty to slightly edit out descriptions of the stories, as I will be dealing with each story in turn as we progress on this video. So, the author forward. Welcome to the second volume of Jonathan's Tales, comprising 10 magical fairy tales I told my then 6-year-old son at his bedtime. Recorded on my Android and now skillfully transposed to the written word. The tales were told across 3 years, numbering in the final count 100. The stories in Volume 2 had the same 3 specific aims as that in Volume 1. Firstly, entertainment. Secondly, knowledge transference. And thirdly, a desire for the tales to be morally instructive. The tales explore universal themes, including the importance of love and kindness, forgiveness and honesty, and the specialness of celebrating differences and inclusivity in our lives. To stimulate a desire to learn more, all the tales are peppered with rich notations referred extensively at the end of the book. These notations serve a dual function of giving explanation of facts, but also review the meaning of many phrases and idioms included across the narrative in this book. And as such, these notations may also serve as a learning tool for international students seeking to better master the English language competencies. In addition to the moral themes above, the second volume admits other riches, which I will tease out in a more detail in the following slides. Jonathan's Tales deliberately portray characters in various aspects challenged. Ultimately, the author renders these characters in situations with happy endings. I love happy endings. Excuse me. On final note, Volume 2 might be nominally seen as a middle grade children's literary work, and yet it admits, as did Volume 1, an eclectic age range. Not only children, but teenagers and adults have reported back on Volume 1 their absolute delight. I seek the reader's forgiveness in final close to this foreword by copying a genuine comment from one reader after reading Volume 1, which I trust gives you due credence to the assertion, my assertion, that Jonathan's Tales has a broader relevance in all our lives and to be enjoyed as such. The comment from the grown-up, the adult, in fact an English teacher: you are never too old to enjoy a good story. So allow me to turn to the first story, entitled The Glass and the Jumper. I have, in the first 3 volumes, deliberately chosen from the 100 stories I told my son the initial story and the end story about a specific topic: the life and travails of kings and queens, and royalty in general. So here we have a case in point of an enchanted magical jumper made for an arrogant prince to wear at his brother's wedding by a tailor who had skills mystically given to him by elves of the holy Silver Mountain. Excuse me, a frog in my throat. The prince's impatience meant he, in his ill temper, rejected the jumper. This jumper, made for a royalty and expensive beyond description, with golds and silvers liberally weaved across its seams, spent the next 100 years in a cabinet at the factory. Its magic, of course, kept it in mint condition. The story progresses that a wealthy man, a member now from the extinct line of the royalty that the arrogant prince was born into, was a learned researcher of his family history. After discovering all manuscript of his royal line in a monastery, he brought his family to the factory where the jumper was, deliberately to buy it for his daughter, for several reasons. It is what happens next when the jumper is introduced to a fine porcelain Italian glass, and the mystical connection is ignited. I read out a snippet of the book when the arrogant prince left to indicate the origins of the jumper. Time passed, and one day the tailor was dabbling in sundry petty tasks that he had put off attending to. He happened to glance at the jumper and thought, well, it's the prince's loss and somebody else's gain. He knew the jumper's design, craftsmanship, and magic therein were unique to all the world. A jumper with golden elves and silver fairy queens adorning the extremes. A knight sat on a beautiful white stallion as the centerpiece, made of precious white gold. The tailor thus admired the jumper daily. He often smiled, thinking of the arrogant prince. What a fool that man has proved. Excuse me. This beautiful jumper is without doubt quite a masterpiece, really. We took the gold from the enchanted waters of the river Pix. My factory scouts toiled for several days, digging up the scarce silver from the hallowed caves in the holy mountain. I put my absolute best imagination and all my craftsman's skills, accrued from 80 years and 10, coupled with the magic endowed to me by the mountain elves, into this royal jumper. As his mind wandered in thoughts, the tailor knew that the specialness within this very special jumper was more than just his own magic. He recalled a famous legend told of the magical powers of the silver and gold he had used. It is said by old tongues that the essences of the gold and silver mined from such magical locations would be for eternity always drawn back to each other, attracted to the same source, wherever it was in the world. Excuse me. He again fixated his glance upon the jumper and wondered if he would ever see evidence of this strange legend, now inextricably linked to the jumper he had made. He actually doesn't, but the legend comes true. This slide invites a review of the second tale in Jonathan's Tale, Volume 2, The Cup and the Toothbrush. A sister story of the toilet and the toothbrush in Volume 1. This is a beautiful story of overturning prejudices and preconceptions to allow individuals to see the tragic consequences of prejudging things, and with that insight become better versions of themselves. The storyline is an, yes, arrogant and overbearing blue toothbrush of royal vintage, and he's ruled the roost in the bedroom from his arrival there. He had a publicly declared animosity of anything pink. Enter, as life inevitably changes things, a pink toothbrush into his world. It is such that his character acts with malice and cruelty to the pink toothbrush, much to the dismay of the others around him. But a pink toothbrush is in the end rescued and becomes the treasured love of another. Importantly, through his friend's disapproval of his behaviour, the blue toothbrush changes. It is in that change that makes this story a special ending. We now turn to the third tale, excuse me, in this celebrated second volume, The Parrot and the Woodpecker. A seafaring tale of dastardly pirates ransacking the West Indies, but coming up against villagers' stiff resistance. The main protagonists are a parrot named Feathers, and affectionately, for his lips only, called Polly by the captain pirate, and a hapless woodpecker. I'm fogging my throat still. The scene is a woodpecker ends up aboard ship, has her wings cruelly shot off by the captain pirate, but kindly restored by a benevolent sea fairy. The story ends with the three main characters marooned on a desert island, and the only thing that saved them from starvation and certain demise was, guess who? Yes, the woodpecker. It is a lovely story with the denouement illustrating an interesting law, the law of unintended consequences, which has relevance in all our lives. And of course, it has an happy ending. Let us now turn to our attention to the fourth tale, a delightful cameo on a globally concerned theme, climate change, in the epic story The Tesla and the Lamborghini. This story has so much for children and grown-ups alike. The two main protagonists are a shy, unassuming, beautiful, sensitive and intelligent pink Tesla, and a gorgeously swanky red, yes, arrogant Lamborghini. The scene is a showroom in Milan, Italy, where the Lamborghinis are sold. In come 5 Tesla on their own steam, digitally programmed to drive in driverless. Excuse me. It is the tensions that ensue between the two genres of cars, exquisitely teasing out all the issues with climate change. As the markets open, the red Lamborghini is cruelly antagonistic to the Tesla, and the pink Tesla in particular. But fate is such, the new cars on the block sell before the flashy Italian cars of old. It is also the fate that the only 2 cars left unsold are the pink Tesla and the red Lamborghini. The latter too expensive for most people anyway, having gold commissioned liberally in all his fittings by an oil sheik who never returned to take possession. There is a beautiful scene where the Tesla explains many things to the Lamborghini. What a fabulous ending, that breaks my heart in love. The next tale I'll review is the 5th tale, called The Orange and the Grapefruit. I did an audio reading of this tale and posted it across social media. One authoress listened to the 3 recordings on Instagram and left one comment: speechless. It has a fabulous ending, so that was justified. So the tale really addresses the futility of conflict and war, both in personal relations and in general. The main protagonists in a homely fruit bowl are threefold. an American large grapefruit from Texas, a blood red orange from Italy, and a wise female lemon. The story has an essential message I try to convey to my son, that in all conflicts, in whatever form, conflict damages all concern. As the authoress said, the ending is rather speechless. A beautiful ending, I declare. The next and final tale I'll review is tale 6, called The Bear and the Turtle, a story about a baby turtle called Tommy Turtle that becomes stranded from his family as he's caught up by the flow of the fierce spring tide up a river. He, on his hapless journey upstream, befriends a mummy salmon going up the river, her trancing to her birth pool to have babies, and both are caught by a huge bear. The mummy salmon, thinking it is curtains, is retrieved as the bear is a father, and hearing the baby turtle crying, feels paternal. The bear lets the salmon go, and then the whole bear family, mummy bear, daddy bear, and 4 cubs, with Tommy Turtle, go down the river on the ebb to reunite the baby turtle with his family. And they meet a master frog of various fames across Jonathan's tales. And they all have a lovely holiday together. It is a lovely story. And I will close here and resume the review of Volume 2 in Part 2. I wish everybody for now a happy time. Bye bye for now.